Hoity-toity.
Pretentious and pompous nature of Esau, Edom. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 9. And a hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, but through knowledge shall the just be delivered. Obadiah, verse 3. The pride of thine heart had deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord Yahweh. The hoity-toity, the pretentious, the fancy, the pompous, hypocritical nature of Esau, Edom will be brought low. Shalom. All blessings, honors, glories, and powers and praises be unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Racha Kodash. Double honors to my apostles and elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth, as well of men of like mind. Shalom wa chasad, which means peace and mercy, to the elect of the nation of Israel, my so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and Israelite foreigners, of the seed of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who were scattered here in America, which is Babylon the Great, and abroad. To you I say Shalom, and Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai Ratazah. This lesson is edifying. Now, in this lesson, Lord's willing, we will expound upon yesterday's word of the day, which was
Hoity-toity.
which again means pretentious, fancy, pompous. And that which is pretentious is hypocritical. In fact, the word hypocrite from the online etymology dictionary means false pretender, and such is one that is pretentious. One that is pretentious is one that is characterized by pretension, such as making usually unjustified or expressive claims. Another example of one that is pretentious is a man or a woman that puts on a false cult of personality, expressive of affected, unwarranted, or exaggerated importance. And Esau Edom, he exaggerates his importance, but his importance is of no value. In fact, it is the base of all things, as it is written here in the book of Daniel, chapter 4, verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High Yahweh ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set it up over it the basis of men. And so Esau Edom, he is the basis of men, and that is his only worth, in that he is the basis of men, deceived by his own pompous, egotistical, gluttonous, insatiable nature, his hoity-toity nature. And he is indeed a hypocrite, as it is written here in the book of Proverbs again, chapter 11, verse 9. And the hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor. And how was Esau Edom as a hypocrite destroyeth his neighbor with his mouth? Through his laws, through his unrighteous decrees. That is why the Lord said here in Isaiah Chapter 10, verse 1, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. And only a hypocrite will do such a thing. One moment he'll say, oh, we're for you. We'll scribe these different policies into law for your own well-being, for your own benefit. But lo and behold, it turns out that it is all for his own gain. And that is an example of one who is a hypocrite, one who is pretentious, one who exaggerates their own importance or worth or stature, just as Esau Edom does, because he is that eagle, making demands on one's skill, ability, or mean, ambitious. This devil is a very ambitious man, and he's shown that throughout history through his different policies, domestically and globally. Just look at his track record. Look at the things that he's done after coming back into rulership. Nothing but destruction and death and misery and confusion. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. Pre means before, scribed means to write. So they have written unrighteous decrees before into law, behind closed doors, while nobody's looking, because they can't go to sleep unless they have done something wickedly upon their beds, and unless they have devised something wickedly, they cannot go to sleep. They cannot be satisfied. Proverbs chapter 4, verse 16, for they sleep not except they have done mischief. And part of that is writing unrighteous decrees into law. Except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause something to fall. And who are they aiming to cause to fall? Us, the nation of Israel, the Lord's people. And in so doing, they believe that that will justify them in being able to say, well, oh, look, you see what they're doing? See, they're going off, they're breaking your law. Saying all that to the Lord, as it is written right here, Revelation chapter 7, verse, I'll start at 10. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, and the power of his anointed Hamashiach Yahushai. And this is the point, for the accuser of our brethren is cast down. And he's going to be cast down when he loses and gets taken out of his power through our Lord Yahushai and the elect, after the will of the Father Yahweh. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them. Who's them referring to? The nation of Israel. Before our power, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, day and night. And that is what Esau Edom does, because he believes in his heart of hearts that in doing so, that is going to put him back, or put him, because he was never put spiritually above Jacob, because the birthright belonged to us from the very beginning. But he believes that in doing the things that he does, it'll keep the Lord from dealing with us, beginning with the elect of the nation of Israel, which the Lord is willing I'm of the elect. But the Lord is very merciful and pitiful and delicate towards his elect. However, 2/3 of the nation of Israel, they're going to die in their iniquities on this side. And so this is back in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 16, for they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause them to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. So these devils, they eat the bread of wickedness and they drink the wine of violence. And that's what allows a person to become satisfied and eventually say, you know what, let me go to bed now. I've eaten, I've drank. Now I can go to bed and have a good night's rest. But this devil, on the contrary, he can't sleep except he's done mischief. And their sleep is taken away unless they cause him to fall. Why? Because he can never be satisfied. Romans chapter 4, or is it 3? Yeah, Romans chapter 3, verse 15. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their ways, and the way of peace they have not known. So the way of peace, these devils, they have not known because they are the wicked. Their soul which is that love within them is not upright. Therefore, the way of peace they have not known. They can't know the way of peace because their blessing was and is the sword. What is a sword? An instrument of cruelty. And that blessing has been given unto Esau Edom, the slayer. That Woody, he should go throughout the earth and cause destruction. There is no fear of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai before their eyes. And there is no fear of the Lord before the eyes of these devils, because in their heart of hearts, they truly believe that they are like the Most High, or even greater, because they're proud. So this is back in Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. Woe to them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that write grievousness which they have prescribed. It's okay to be sodomite. It's okay to commit bestiality, idolatry, sodomy, adultery, and the list goes on. All these things are examples of unrighteous decrees which these devils prescribe into their law, which allow those that commit these iniquities to get off scot-free and not be judged according to the principles of the scriptures, to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, or the poor, the elect of the nation of Israel. The widow, that widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. And that's what this man has caused throughout the past decades within our nation. This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 1, verse 4. Therefore the law is slacked, and judgment doth never go forth. For the wicked doth compass but the righteous, and therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. Why? Because unrighteous decrees are prescribed. That's why judgment is slack. That's why it never goes forth. For the wicked doth compass but the righteous. Who's the wicked? Esau Edom. Malachi chapter 1, verse 4 tells us that Esau Edom is the wicked. Okay, therefore wrong judgment proceedeth. Some examples of that are what is written here in Isaiah chapter 10, verse 2, that widows may be their prey and that they may rob the fatherless. Those are some examples of wrong judgment proceeding. Widows being made prey and, fatherless, being robbed. So now, let's examine further hoity-toity, fancy or pompous. Right, he's pompous, he's proud. Let's go to Obadiah, verse 3. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, his kingdom, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? And this is his sentiment. Who's going to bring him down out of his rulership? Who's going to bring him down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars through your space force, your satellites, and though you do all these things, thence will I bring thee down, save the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And this is what the Lord is going to do unto you, Esau Edom. He's going to bring you down completely, man. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 11. Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, to a low estate. Your pomp, your hoity-toity nature, your fancy nature is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy viols, your songs of feasting, of merriness, All those things are going to be brought down to the ground and ceased. The worm is spread under the corrosion. You see within his kingdom it is corroding. Subways is all effed up. Schools are all effed up. Bridges and tunnels are all effed up. And the worms covered thee. How art thou fallen from heaven? How are you fallen from your rulership? O Lucifer, Lucifer means light bearer, which represents the illuminated ones of Esau Edom. Illuminati, the Rothschilds, the Gettys, the DuPonts, the banking families, the Lees, the wicked. On the left-hand side of the Most High, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Thou hast said in thine heart, referring to Obadiah, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Through his satellites in space, his space force. The stars also represents the nation of Israel. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north, here in North America. Babylon the Great. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. So this man, he in his heart, in his mind, he really believes that he's like the Most High. Ain't that something? The basis of men. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. And that's what's going to happen to you. Your hoity-toity, pomptuous, pretentious, hypocritical nature is going to be brought down to the sides of the pit, to a lower state. So with that, I pray this lesson was edifying to the elect. Lord's willing, until the next, I say shalom.